Hannah, can you tell me what it is that you actually do?
Yeah. So my name's Hannah and I am the director of Ruth Estates, and I am a property deal sourcer and a project manager across the northwest of the UK. What it is that I specialise in really in doing is finding below market value properties and rent to rent SA deals that can be transformed into high cash flowing assets. So that's kind of your investments that are like BRRR and flip type deals. I either take on myself or I pass on to my network of investors.
Can you explain to me a little bit more about what BRRR means?
BRRR. BRRR means buy, refurbish, refinance, rent. That essentially means you're buying property generally way below market value that needs a little work doing to it. So you're essentially buying, refurbishing the property, up to a good level. You're buying at a crap level, you're refurbishing it up to a good level. You're then refinancing the house. You go into the bank's analysing the house and valuing it at its new market value. If you bought a property for 100 grand and it's now revalued at 170, let's say, and you spend 50 grand on it, then the bank is going to give you 75% of the loan to value. You're gonna pay yourself back from buying that house. Sometimes you would leave in a little bit of money in the deal, or you can leave no money in the deal, and you've essentially got a couple £1,000 house or a £0 house that's going to then generate rent for you and an asset that's going to appreciate in value over the time, as we've seen in property market history over every single year to date. So that's kind of what BRRR means.
Okay, so back to what it is you actually do. You mentioned flips.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between a flip and a BRRR? Like, what is a flip?
A BRRR is that you're essentially holding on to that asset. You've bought it, you've refinanced it, you've refurbished it, you're renting it out. You are now the owner of that house and you're keeping the asset in your portfolio. So that asset is then generating you a monthly cash flow. Now, with a flip, the same process will typically occur with a flip, because the flip will again need forced appreciation into the property. And by forcing the appreciation in, that means essentially you're gonna have to add value. Yeah, you're gonna have to do the work. But what you're gonna do at the end of the flip is that you're not going to refinance or rent it out. You're gonna sell it on. You're buying, refurbishing to a good standard. It's now true market value, and you're gonna sell it to, whether it's a first time buyer, a homeowner, someone wanting to just buy a house, whatever it is for the reason of purchase. Everyone's always looking to buy a house or rent in a house. There's a place for them both. It's just that you're holding the asset and you're letting go of the asset, typically with a large chunk of money that you're going to pull out of the deal, which you could probably then put into your own investments for something else.
Last and final question, what is rent to rent SA?
So this is actually a strategy I've used myself, one of my business partner's first investments, and it stands for rent to rent serviced accommodation. If you break that down, if you break rent to rent, that typically means you're renting from someone to rent it out, but you're renting it out on a serviced accommodation level, i.e., Airbnb, booking.com, your corporate booking websites, trade stays, blah, blah, blah. Now, with a rent to rent, you typically have to, it has to be legal. So the owner, the landlord, has to agree to be put on a corporate let. It's not just a standard, oh, I'm going to rent from you. They think you're living in it, and then you can rent it out. You can't do that. You're renting business to business, corporate to corporate. So the business that you're renting from is typically, they're going to get a benefit out of it, because you're renting on a 3-year period, typically 3 to 5 years. So you're going to give that business revenue, no void periods for 3 years. you're gonna take care of most maintenance job, unless it's something structural, or there's a massive roof issue, or white goods kind of issue. It depends what's in your contracts. You take charge. You're managing that property, so you're renting to the landlord. They're getting the money in their bank. You're taking care of everything else. You're managing the property, and you're then leasing it out on a sublet to short-term stays, mid-term stays, on different OTA platforms, or direct booking website. It depends really how established you are, and you generate your revenue then on a nightly basis. So your revenue typically has to be higher than the rent that you're going to provide to the landlord. Does that make sense?